It was a humid night in El Yunque, the kind where the air clings to your skin like a second layer, and I trudged along a familiar trail, the forest's lush canopy swallowing the moonlight above. I'm Javier Morales, 39, a park ranger who's spent years weaving through this verdant expanse where sunlight spills like liquid gold by day and the hum of life fills every corner. But tonight, under the moon's pale stare, the jungle whispered secrets I wasn't ready to hear, a low murmur that prickled my neck and set my nerves alight. I've always trusted my gut, honed it growing up in San Juan's noisy streets, dodging shadows and reading the unspoken. El Yunque's been my refuge since, its ancient rhythms a balm to that chaos, a place where I feel the earth's pulse in my bones. Yet, over the past few days, something's shifted. The coquil's chirps and insects' buzz have faded, replaced by a deep, resonant melody echoing from the forest's core, haunting and alive. I stopped dead on the trail, my breath catching, as I tilted my head, straining to pinpoint that sound. It wasn't just noise, it pulsed in my chest, a vibration that tugged at something primal, something I couldn't name. The kiba trees loomed overhead, their branches twisting slow and deliberate, weaving into circles, triangles, patterns that mocked nature's chaos, like the forest was scribbling a message meant just for me. My heart kicked up, a drum beat against my ribs, and I took a step closer, drawn by a force I couldn't shake. A gust of wind sliced through, sharp and sudden, carrying a scent, sweet, earthy, like rain-soaked soil after a storm. It wrapped around me, thick and heady, and I felt it, the forest's gaze, heavy and dual-edged, guarding me one second, stalking me the next. The shadows caught my eye then, flickering just beyond my flashlight's beam, dancing like flames in a breeze. They curled around trunks, stretched across the undergrowth, a silent ballet beckoning me in. I've always been the rational one, years of training, of facing down storms and lost hikers. But that melody frayed my edges, unraveling the line between what I knew and what I feared. Javier! My name rang out, sharp and rich, a voice not mine echoing through the trees. It coiled around me like a vine, melodic yet commanding, pulling tight as I fought to hold on to myself. My flashlight trembled in my grip, the beam slashing wild. But the trail stayed empty, just me, the shadows, and that call I couldn't place. The locals' tales flashed through my mind. Whispers of spirits, guardians of El Yunque's buried truths, luring the unwary with haunting songs. I'd shrugged them off, chalked it up to island folklore, but now, with the shadows alive and the melody sinking into my marrow, doubt gnawed deep. This wasn't just a forest anymore, it was a trap, and I was caught. The branches twisted tighter, their shapes sharpening, seals, symbols, locking into place like a ritual I didn't sign up for. I'd stumbled into something ancient, a web spun from time's threads, and the forest wasn't letting go. My chest tightened, the air thick with intent, and I knew, whatever this was, it wanted more than my curiosity. Night pressed in, the forest's pulse syncing with mine, a heartbeat I couldn't outrun. I turned to retreat, my boots scuffing, the dirt, when a figure stepped from behind a massive ceiba, tall, shadowed, real. My instinct screamed, but my feet stayed planted, curiosity outweighing the fear clawing my gut. Javier? It was Alejandra, a ranger I'd trained with years back, now a scientist chasing El Yunque's mysteries. Her voice cut through the dark, urgent and raw. Her eyes wailed as they darted past me. "You shouldn't be here," she shouted, clutching an amulet, some old charm the locals swore by, her hands shaking like she'd seen the devil himself. "Alejandra," I heard. I started, but she waved me off, her breath ragged. "Don't listen, the forest's waking. It's not friendly." Her words hit hard, a lifeline and a warning tangled together, and I saw it, fear in her, real and sharp, mirroring the chill creeping up my spine. The melody surged, a cacophony drowning her out, whispers and cries weaving into a storm of sound. The shadows closed in, swirling like a tempest, and I spun, my flashlight slashing uselessly against them. You see them? Alejandra's voice was a thread in the chaos, her hand grabbing my arm, grounding me as the dark pulsed. They've been restless since the storm, she said, her eyes flicking to the shadows. Something woke them. They're hunting. Her words sank like lead, and I felt it. The forest wasn't just alive, it was hungry, searching, and we were in its sights. What are they after? I demanded, sweat beating cold on my brow, my voice cracking under the weight. Alejandra hesitated, her grip tightening. Villagers, they've vanished, lured by the music. If we don't stop it, we're next. Her fear was a mirror reflecting mine, and I knew this wasn't just a night patrol anymore. A flicker darted between the trees, small, fast, too graceful for this world, and my heart lurched. What was that? I rasped, my voice barely cutting the air, my eyes straining against the dark. Alejandra's shout, "Stay close," came too late. My feet were already moving, chasing that shape deeper into the thicket. The melody, a siren pulling me in. The underbrush clawed at my legs, thorns snagging my pants, but I pushed through, the music swelling, insistent, a call I couldn't ignore. The clearing opened sudden and sharp, and there she was. A girl, maybe 10, her eyes glowing with a light that wasn't human, her voice a plea. "Help me! They won't let me go." I froze, torn between instinct and doubt, her words sinking hooks into me. "Who?" I asked, my voice trembling, stepping closer as the shadows coiled around her, serpents of dark intent. "The spirits," she whimpered, her frame shaking. "They need me for the song." Alejandra crashed through behind me, her breath ragged, her eyes wide. "We've got to save her," I said, turning to her, but doubt gnawed deeper. What if this was a lure, a trap snapping shut? "Maybe," Alejandra whispered, her voice tight. "But if the stories are true, time's running out. They're hunting us, too." The shadows surged, a discordant howl tearing through the melody, and I lunged for the girl, my hand outstretched. The forest tightened, its grip a vice, and I felt it, the line between real and unreal blurring, pulling me into a dance I didn't know the steps to. Wind roared through, a rush of voices, familiar, piercing, staggering me back as memories clawed free. My mother's lullaby, soft and distant, wove through the trees, a thread from my past I'd buried deep. "Javier!" Alejandra's shout snapped me back, her urgency a lifeline as the girl's eyes locked on mine, pleading. "You know the song," the girl said, her voice cutting through. "Remember." Panic surged, my mind racing. Childhood games in these woods, melodies calling me away, my mother's warnings about spirits I'd ignored. "I've heard it before," I gasped, the pieces slamming together, a truth I couldn't dodge. Thoba, shadows thickened, morphing into shapes, friends, family, faces I'd lost to time, their eyes accusing. "You left us," one hissed, and I recoiled, guilt a blade in my chest. "No, I didn't mean," I stammered, but Alejandra grabbed me, her voice sharp. "Focus, we're not done." "It's me," I whispered, dread pooling cold. "They've chosen me." The spirits weren't random, they were my ghosts, my regrets, alive in this jungle, and I was their anchor. "You've got to face them," Alejandra said, her voice trembling, but firm, "or we're both lost." The darkness pressed closer, a tendril snaking around Alejandra's wrist, pulling her in. "Javier!" she cried, pain twisting her face, and I lunged, my heart a frantic drum. "Let her go!" I roared, my voice a raw plea, the forest trembling as I fought to hold on. The girl hummed louder, her melody weaving into my soul, and I felt it, a shift, a crack in the dark. "I remember," I shouted, facing the shadows, my past a weapon now. I was scared, but no more. The figures wavered, my words a blow, but the fight was far from won. A new shadow rose, Alejandra's, twisted and cruel, stepping from the gloom. "Face the truth, Javier," it taunted, "or lose her." My chest seized. This wasn't just my past. It was hers too, a shared darkness we had to break. Time slipped, the forest a battlefield, and I knew my choice would shape us all. I reached for Alejandra, the weight of my ghosts pressing down, and braced for the storm still brewing, the next step a plunge into the abyss. The shadows laughed, a chilling promise, and I stood alone, the girl's plea echoing as Alejandra vanished. Into the dark, my scream tore through, "No!" But the forest swallowed it, leaving me with failure's bitter taste, a ranger lost in his own sanctuary. The shadow's taunt lingered, "Lose her forever." And I squared my shoulders, fury boiling over. "I won't," I roared, my voice shaking the trees, raw and unyielding. Alejandra's cry still rang in my ears, her fear a fire fueling me against this twisted reflection of her. "You're not her," I spat, stepping closer, my flashlight trembling but steady. The shadow grinned, a grotesque parody, but I saw it, fear flickering in its hollow eyes. "She's stronger than you," I said, my voice steadying, "and so am I." The forest pulsed, the melody shifting, a thread of hope weaving through. Alejandra's real voice broke through. "Javier, fight, faint, desperate, pulling me back." "Hold on," I shouted, my heart pounding as I faced the shadow, memories surging, laughter, loss, moments I'd buried. "I won't let you take her," I declared, my will a blade cutting through. The shadow lunged, fast and vicious, and I braced, hands up, channeling every shred of resolve. "We're more than fear," I yelled, light flaring from within, raw and wild, slamming into the dark. It screeched, dissolving like ash, and the forest stilled, a fragile calm settling in. I dropped to my knees beside Alejandra, her wrist bruised but free, her breath shaky. "You okay?" I rasped, my voice rough, relief flooding as she nodded. "Weak but alive." "I thought I'd lost you," I admitted, the weight of it crushing me, my hands trembling as I helped her up. The trees sighed, their tension easing, but the air buzzed still, a hum of unrest. "They're not gone," Alejandra whispered, her eyes distant, scanning the clearing where shadows lingered, faint and flickering. We pushed them back, but they're waiting. "What about her?" I asked, turning to the girl, but she was gone, vanished, her melody fading into the night. "She was part of it," Alejandra said, her voice low. "A lure, maybe a victim too." The thought chilled me. Had I saved her or played into the trap? The forest stretched around us, alive but uneasy, its secrets still coiled tight. "We can't leave them," I said, my voice firm. The weight of the lost souls pressing down. "They're trapped, my past, their stories. We've got to free them." Alejandra gripped my arm, her eyes fierce despite the shake. "Together," she said, "a vow sealing us to this fight." And I nodded, resolve hardening. Ranger, protector, a man facing his ghosts head-on, no matter the cost. The shadows retreated, but I felt them, watching, patient, a promise of return. "We'll figure it out," I murmured, helping Alejandra to her feet, my body aching, my soul scarred but unbowed, ready for the next battle. The trail stretched ahead, the forest's edge a faint glow, but a whisper, "Javier," slithered through, chilling my blood. "They're not done," I said, my voice low, turning to Alejandra. Her nod a mirror to my dread, a fight still looming. Night deepened, the canopy a shroud, and I knew this victory was a breath, not an end. The spirits, my regrets, El Yunque itself. They waited, a cycle unbroken, a ranger's war just begun. The air thickened as we moved, a heavy silence swallowing the melody, but the tension clung, a shadow's echo in every rustle. "We'll save them," I vowed, my voice steady, a promise to the lost, to Alejandra, to myself, a fight I wouldn't abandon. The forest watched, its heartbeat slow and deliberate, and I braced for it. The next whisper, the next shadow, the next truth. Alone or not, I'd face it. A ranger bound to this land, its secrets now mine to unravel, step by haunted step. The forest's edge loomed, a faint shimmer of dawn breaking through, but the weight stayed, a shroud I couldn't shake. "What if we're too late?" Alejandra asked, her voice fragile, her hand brushing mine as we trudged on, the night's scars etched deep in her eyes. "We're not," I said, my voice firm, though doubt gnawed at me. What if the shadows had already won, claiming her? The girl? The others? We'll find them, I added, my resolve a shield against the fear, a ranger's oath to the jungle I loved. The ground trembled, faint but real, and I froze, my flashlight slashing the dark. Shadows flickered, small, quick, gone, a promise of more, a hunt still alive. They're testing us, Alejandra whispered, her breath fogging in the chill, her grip tightening, a lifeline we both needed. They won't break us, I said, my voice low, steadying us both as the forest hummed, its pulse a warning. The spirits lingered, their whispers a thread pulling me back, my past, their pain, a web I couldn't untangle yet. A laugh echoed, cold and distant, and my heart lurched, memories surging, nights lost to this jungle, faces I'd failed. We're their prey, I murmured, the truth sinking in. But I straightened, defiance rising. But I'm not running. Alejandra's eyes met mine, fierce and unyielding. Neither am I, she said, her voice a vow, and I felt it, a bond forged. In this dark, a strength to face what waited. The forest stretched, alive and restless, its secrets a battlefield we'd claim. The shadow stirred, patient, predatory, and I knew they'd come again, stronger, hungrier. We'll be ready, I said, my voice steady, turning to the trail. The fight of fire in my chest, a ranger's stand against the unknown. Dawn crept closer, the light weak but growing, but the whispers, Javier, lingered, a call I couldn't ignore. We've got work to do, I said, my voice low, a promise to the lost, to her, to this land, a war I'd wage, no matter how deep it ran. The trees loomed, silent witnesses to our resolve, and I felt it, their eyes, their need, their pull. Together, Alejandra echoed, her voice a tether, and I nodded, the forest's heartbeat syncing with mine, a rhythm of fight and fate. The air buzzed, the shadows retreating but not gone, and I braced, ranger, protector, a man tied to this jungle soul. The next step loomed, a plunge into truth still buried, a battle stretching beyond this night. Here's my story, the one I sent in, everything that went down that night in El Yunque. Hope it hit you like it hit me, heavy with those shadows and whispers. If it did, leave a like, subscribe if you can, comment something. Telling this tore me open, dragging up. Ghosts I'd buried deep. What if the sky I'd spent my life gazing at held secrets never meant to see the light? That thought hit me hard one night as I patrolled the plateau in Aberdare Forest Reserve near Nyeri, Kenya. A strange mist rolled up from the ground, thick and alive, twisting the air into a mirror of the heavens. Above, stars warped and moons splintered, dancing wild in the dark, and a weight crashed down on me, heavy as the cosmos itself. Then stars fell, blazing streaks that hit the earth, bursting into glowing pools, flickering out like dreams, leaving only whispers of ash behind. I'm Aisha Mwangi, 33, a ranger rooted in this wild stretch of Kenya's highlands. The night. Sky's been my compass since I was a kid, its constellations weaving tales of ancestors and gods. But lately, it's turned on me. This mist keeps coming, thicker each time, bending the stars into something wrong, something cursed. Herders avoid this plateau now, muttering about omens, and I feel it too. A dread sinking deep, whispering that this isn't just weather. It's a sign of something dark waking up. It started weeks back with noises, low growls rumbling through the trees at odd hours, shadows darting just out of sight. Sleep's dodged me since, my nights haunted by those falling stars, each a piece of a riddle I can't crack. I'd stand on the plateau staring up, trying to match the beauty I loved with the fear clawing at me. Is my mind playing tricks? Or is something breaking through from beyond? The Aberdares loom around me, jagged, peaks biting the sky, ancient trees guarding secrets older than time. The mist here feels alive, pulsing like it's got a mind of its own, threading through the eucalyptus and underbrush. Every leaf's rustle, every wind sigh carries weight now, a tongue I can't speak. I think of my childhood, lying in the grass, dreaming under stars, until the night my father vanished into this same dark, leaving me with questions that never healed. Night fell hard, and the mist turned thick, wrapping my ankles like a snake. Stars rained down, an avalanche of light and terror, and I knew this wasn't normal. Reality frayed at the edges, and I was caught in it, feeling an old hunger reaching for me. Was I just watching this, or was I part of some cosmic trade? My life, or whatever's trying to cross over? I stood there, pools of starlight reflecting my fear and hunger, to know more, and I knew I couldn't run. The plateau's peace was gone, now a battlefield for something ancient, and I was in the thick of it, drawn in, not dragged, needing to face whatever was hiding in the dark. The mist grew heavier, stars falling faster, and I felt trapped in a storm of light and shadow. The pools shimmered, pulling my gaze, daring me to step closer. I couldn't shake the sense that something was watching, waiting for me to make a move. A figure broke through the haze. Quito, my fellow ranger, his face pale, eyes wide with a mix of grit and fright. "Aisha, we need to talk," he said, voice sharp with urgency. "I've heard it too. The noises, the elders say this place is a gate where worlds touch." I shivered, his words digging up old doubts. "The legends we laughed off?" I asked, caught between disbelief and a sinking truth. "Yeah," he said, faltering. "But it's real. Last night I found tracks, big ones leading from those pools. Something's out there. What is it?" I pushed, heart hammering, needing more. "I don't know," he admitted, shadows creeping into his eyes. "But we can't sit on this. The mist. It's messing with us, Aisha, our heads." His warning hung there cold and real, and as we Elosonois turned to go, the stars twisted closer, calling me to dig into the dark. Reality was unraveling, and I knew the next step could break everything or save it. We pushed through the mist, tension choking the air, the sky above a mess of warped light. Quito's words gnawed at me. What if the stories were true? What if this plateau was a door and something was already stepping through? I glanced at him, his face tight with focus. He'd always been the steady one, grounded in facts, but now fear ate at him too. "Quito," I said, breaking the quiet, "you remember my dad's stories?" He stopped, eyes narrowing. "Yeah, why?" "I found something," he said, hesitant. "At the old station, your father's journal." My breath hitched. Lost with him, I thought. "What's in it?" He wrote about the mist. "Quito," said, voice low. Said it talked to him like it was alive. He thought it wanted something. Memories flooded in. Dad under the stars, whispering about a call. Me searching for him in the woods, finding nothing. I'd called it obsession. But now, maybe he'd heard the same pull. The mist thickened, ground shaking, and a shriek ripped through, high, raw, slicing the night. I grabbed Quito's arm, heart racing. "What was that?" "No clue," he whispered, tense. "We've got to move." The pools we'd passed pulsed now, alive with energy, whispers turning into a roar in my head. I wasn't crazy. Quito saw it too, a shape moving in the haze, fluid and wrong. I felt my father's thread tugging me, his fate tied to this. I wasn't just a ranger, I was his echo, chasing what took him. "It's bigger than us," I said to Quito, voice firm despite the shake. He stared into the mist, horror dawning. "Aisha," he said slow, "it wants us." Shadows burst out, swirling alive, air crackling. My mind teetered, trust fraying. Who was real here? The dark closed in and I braced for what was next. Shadows writhed around us, grotesque and fluid, Quito's grip bruising my arm. The whispers crashed like waves, pulling up my father's voice, his fears, his last night. "We face it," I said, forcing calm through the panic. "If it wants us, we find out why." Quito's eyes flicked, searching for a way out, but he nodded. "Okay, but what if it's already got us?" The shadows twisted into shapes, faces, hands, pleading and pained. I pushed forward, mist cold against my skin, probing me. "What are you?" I yelled, voice breaking but strong. A figure formed, cloaked in fog, eyes glowing eerie. "I'm the keeper," she said, voice haunting and sweet. "You want truth?" "Aisha, it costs," Keto flinched. "Don't trust it." Fear raw in his whisper. "Quiet," she snapped, air sparking. "Your father sought this, paid for it. The veil's thin, step too close, and you're caught." Her words sank deep. Dad knew the risk, walked this edge. "What's the price?" I asked, steady now, needing it. She raised a hand, mist spinning, visions of Dad, stars, whispers, between worlds. "Choose," she said. "Cross the veil for truth, or let the dark take it." Keto's plea hit me. "Aisha!" "No, it's a trick." But the pull was a drug, my father's shadow urging me on. I felt his weight, his call, pushing me to leap. This was it. Step in or back off, truth or nothing. My choice, my fate. Tension locked the air, shadows reaching, Keto begging me to stop. But Dad's legacy burned in me, and I knew what I had to do. "I'll go," I said, voice cutting sharp. "I need the truth." She smiled, cold, chilling. And shadows roared, swallowing me in a storm of mist and memory. The world flipped, and I was gone, pulled through dark into a swirl of color and echoes, Dad reaching, calling my name. The vision broke, and I was back, aching, a sharp sting in my chest where shadows clawed. Keto ran to me. "What happened?" Hands shaking, searching me. "I saw him," I gasped, memories flooding, raw. "Dad," he wanted me to know, but it's not over. Mist faded and a glint caught my eye, his pendant, buried in dirt, alive with light. "Keto, look!" I said, grabbing it, symbols twisting under my touch. His eyes widened. "We've got to go, Aisha. This isn't safe." "No," I said, pendant warm in my hand. "There's more. His fate's here." Shadows lingered, watching, whispers threading my mind. I'd faced a piece of him, but the dark held more. "Let's move," Keto urged, but the pull stayed, a call to dig deeper, to chase what took him. The pendant pulsed, a dark tie to him, shadows promising more. I'd opened something, answers yes, but danger too. We stepped into fading light, but the mist surged, snaring me again. "Keto!" I screamed, voice lost as it dragged me under. Shadows sank in, cold fire burning me, whispers offering power. Dark, vast. My will cracked, humanity slipping. "No," I fought, but the dark won, twisting me into its own. I was the truth now, its vessel, its air. Keto's voice faded, laughter rising, and I smiled, lost to the dark I'd sought. The skies, secrets were mine, and I'd never let them go. Have you ever felt the forest watching you? That question lingered in my mind like a shadow as I patrolled the sloping hills of Tyresta Forest one tranquil evening, the air thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. I'm Clara Nilsson, a 36-year-old forest ranger, and this is my tale, Scary Horror Stories, Park Ranger Forest Edition. The wind picked up, weaving through the trees in a rhythmic dance. Its whispers a melody only the wilderness could sing, tugging at my soul. I paused, boots sinking into the mossy ground, captivated by the invisible song resonating in my chest. The tree trunks shimmered, red, blue, green hues pulsing in time with the breeze, as if the forest breathed alive and calling me closer. For years, I'd walked these northern woods alone, their suffocating silence my solace. The towering pines, the still ponds, they were my refuge from a world too loud, too chaotic. But lately, something had shifted. An otherworldly rhythm carried on the wind, drawing villagers from Haninga with wide eyes and hushed voices. They spoke of wonder, of dread, as if the forest had awoken, and I stood at its heart. Each dusk, as the sun dipped low, I'd watch the trees glow, a phenomenon defying reason. Was it light playing tricks or some natural quirk I'd missed in my routine patrols? Curiosity gnawed at me, a restless itch. Yet a deeper instinct whispered caution. The forest had a way of unearthing secrets, and mine lay buried, waiting to surface. Tonight felt heavier, the wind swirled, a dancer inviting me into its waltz. I stood still, feeling my pulse sink with the forest's heartbeat, an eerie union I couldn't shake. Shadows stretched in the twilight, weaving a tapestry across the undergrowth. My father's tales flickered, spirits, phantoms haunting these. Woods, folklore I'd brushed aside. Now, amid the glowing trees, those stories gnawed at me. Could there be truth in them? The villagers' whispers grew, tales of vanishings, of souls lost to the forest's pull. Their fear pressed on me, a weight I carried as I stepped deeper into Tyresta. Yet, the luminous trees drew me, their call irresistible, a mystery begging to be unraveled. The air thickened, wind wrapping me like a shroud. I realized the forest wasn't just watching. It craved me, part of its dance, and I teetered between surrender and resistance. Memories of my mother surfaced, her disappearance years ago, a wound I'd never healed. Had she felt this pull too, this seductive embrace of the wild? I took another step, heart pounding, the rhythm quickened, a signal of something vast approaching. The forest pulsed, alive, and I braced for what was to come. Night fell and the air shifted. An inexplicable tremor ran through the trees, a prelude to a truth I couldn't yet grasp, but one I knew would change everything. A chill swept through, the glowing lights flickering like a faltering star. My heart raced, each beat echoing the forest's urgency. A twig snapped behind me, sharp and jarring. I spun, breath catching. "Clara?" The voice cut through, familiar yet edged with panic. Eric, my childhood friend, a historian from Haninga. His presence here now jarred me. "Eric?" I stepped back. "What are you doing here?" His blue eyes gleamed with worry, clashing with the forest's eerie calm. "You shouldn't be alone," he said, voice low. "It's not safe. The villagers, they're talking. People vanish, come back changed. I had to find you." His words iced my veins. The forest's pulse surged, weaving into our tension. "I know these woods," I said, "men better than anyone. What's happening?" "I don't know," he admitted, raking a hand through his hair, "but there's a legend, a guardian spirit, waking when nature's balance breaks. Something's wrong, Clara." The lights flickered again, shadows dancing like ghosts. Energy thickened, pulling me forward despite Eric's fear shadowing his gaze. "Maybe we should go," I murmured, voice shaky. "Come back at dawn." Caution warred with the itch. "To press on." "No," he snapped. "We face it together now. You feel it, don't you? It's calling you." His urgency stirred my own, a spark igniting. "What if it's dangerous?" I asked. "What if it's more than curiosity?" The question hung, heavy with doubt and dread. "Then we confront it," he said, stepping closer. "Together." His resolve steadied me, a lifeline in the growing storm. The ground trembled, trees swayed, lights blazing into a blinding spectacle. The forest roared alive, demanding our presence. "Look!" Eric pointed. A clearing glowed ahead, trees parting to reveal a stone etched with ancient symbols, pulsing in rhythm with the wind. We neared, whispers threading the air, soft, melodic, tugging at my core. Eric's face paled, awe and terror, warring as I met his gaze, seeking strength. A figure emerged, cloaked in leaves and vines, eyes like stars. "You've come," she said, voice resonating. "The balance is broken. Choose, leave or embrace what's ahead." My choice loomed. I glanced at Eric, heart thundering, knowing our path would shape us, and Tyresta forever. I stepped into the light, air crackling against my skin. The stone symbols pulsed, syncing with my heartbeat, alien yet intimate. "Who are you?" I asked, voice quivering. "I am Alara," she replied, eyes piercing. "Guardian of these woods. You, Clara, must restore what's lost." Her words hung, a riddle and a weight. "Chosen?" I echoed. "I'm just a ranger, a villager." "Why me?" Confusion swirled, a storm in my chest. "Your past binds you here," she said. "A legacy you don't yet see." Her gaze drilled into me, unearthing buried pain. I flinched. My mother's tales, her vanishing. My mother. She disappeared here. Is that it? My voice broke, raw with memory. Yes, Alara said. She answered the call but failed her duty. The forest suffers since. Her echoes guide you now. Her words sank. A betrayal cutting anew. You mean I fix her mistake? How? I'm lost. Anger flared, masking my fear. Eric shifted. Clara, maybe we... I cut him off. No, this is about her. I have to know. Resolve burned, fierce and reckless. The path tests your mind, Ilara warned. Visions, shadows of past and future. Trust yourself, but beware the dark. Dread mingled with determination. I turned to Eric, seeking the comfort of his presence. His eyes darkened, hiding something. I've seen things, he whispered, in dreams, shadows that shouldn't be. It's tied to your mother, Clara. She didn't just vanish, she chose to go. The ground tilted. Chose? I rasped. What do you mean? Shock crashed, a tide I couldn't stem. She left, he said, gaze dropping, for the forest. A sacrifice, I think. I didn't want to believe it. Regret laced his voice, heavy and sharp. Whispers swelled, a tempest around us. The mystery deepened, a web of my mother's choices and the shadows ahead. We go deeper, I said. I need the truth. Eric nodded. We stepped into the unknown, bound by secrets that would unravel us and the forest piece by piece. The trees towered, branches clawing the sky, air thickened, each breath a taste of ancient power. Eric stayed close, a fragile anchor as I pressed on. Whispers sharpened. My mother's voice wove through. Clara, help me. A chill raced down my spine, urging me toward her ghost. The forest shifted. Fog rolled in, obscuring our path. It's alive, Eric whispered, eyes darting. It knows we're here. I have to find her, I said, no matter what. Determination burned, a fire against the creeping doubt. The fog parted. A clearing glowed, a stone altar, pulsing with symbols. This is it, I murmured, where it happened. The ground quaked, shadows surged, twisted figures with hollow eyes, wailing in torment. Fear crashed, threatening to drown me. They're the lost, Eric breathed, feeding on despair. Their forms coiled, a storm of anguish pressing in. What do they want? I asked, gripping him. Alara warned of darkness. My voice shook, but I held firm. They're tied to your mother, he said, remnants of her choice. Terror shadowed his words, a truth unfolding. I won't let them win, I declared. I'm not afraid. I face them, the forests, pulse fueling my defiance. You're nothing without her, they hissed. She abandoned us. Their voices cut, a blade of doubt in my resolve. Without who? I demanded. My mother? Anger flared, a shield against their venom. She chose us, they wailed. Now you pay. Memories flooded. Her warmth, her loss, a truth I couldn't escape. I'm not her, I roared. You don't own me. The altar blazed, symbols resonating as I pushed back, power surging within. The shadows recoiled. I felt Alara's presence, her voice in my mind. You're stronger than you know. Strength bloomed, a light against the dark. Shadows dissolved. I leaned on the altar, drained, their whispers fading but lingering, a scar on my soul. Are you okay? Eric asked, voice tight. I don't know, I rasped. I fought them, but it's not over. The forest stilled, yet its gaze remained heavy and watchful. The fog lifted. Trees leaned in, listening. They're not gone, I said, just waiting. Doubt gnawed, a shadow in my victory. The altar hummed, symbols shifted, new patterns, glowing. More to find? I asked, heart sinking at the endless riddle. We tell Alara, Eric urged. She'll know. His fear mirrored mine, a shared burden growing. She emerged. You've stirred the dark, she said. The barrier weakens. This is just the start. Her words chilled me, a deeper fight looming. I faced the altar. Then we uncover it. All, I said, for my mother, for us. Resolve hardened, a vow against the unknown. Eric took my hand. Together, he said. We turned from the clearing, the forest's pulse, a drumbeat of secrets yet to break. A gust howled. Her laughter echoed, faint but sharp. "They'll be back," I murmured, "and we'll be ready." The trees watched. Their glow dimmed, but the shadows lingered. A promise of more to face, a story unfolding still. The altar's hum faded. I felt eyes everywhere, the forest's gaze unrelenting. "Are we ready?" I asked Eric, doubt threading my voice. "Whatever it takes," he said, but his grip trembled, a promise fragile against the dark ahead. Alara's warning sank in. "The barrier weakens," I repeated. "What's next?" Fear coiled, a snake in my chest. The forest exhaled. Shadows stretched, poised. This wasn't the end, just a breath before the storm. That's my story, carved out. Hope it hooked you. If it did, hit like, subscribe, drop a thought below. It's heavy spilling this, so I'd love knowing it hit hard.